Greetings, kindred. So we're coming up to the full moon, which is actually tomorrow. I'm recording this on the 19th. Apologies again for not getting this out there sooner. Oh dear, can't wait to get through this Saturn return. It's just, I'm getting a lot done, but it just seems to be so much to do. And my Saturn's actually conjunct my South Node, so it's always very calming for me. But anyway, here we are, coming up to the full moon. So the full moon will reach its peak on the 20th of October at 15:56 in the GMT time zone, at 10:56 in the EDT time zone, and on the 21st of October at 1:56 in the AEDT time zone. The moon in Pisces is a very sensitive and emotional moon, but it's also a very instinctive and psychic moon. But I just feel with the moon this particular month, this psychic, instinctive, emotional energy is a little bit inhibited or a little bit blocked. And first of all, that's because the moon's at 35 degrees. That breaks down to the number 8, which is the number of Saturn, who can be restrictive and inhibited. And, our moon is also in opposition to Mars. At a full moon, our moon is always in opposition to the sun. But the sun is also in conjunction with Mars. It's not an exact conjunction, but close enough to have a strong effect. So with the sun conjunct Mars, that's a lot of fire energy in a volcanic sign. Virgo is an earth sign, but Virgo, is also very analytical, So in a way, I'm looking at this like as emotional eruptions or mind-blowing conclusions. But with the sun at 33 degrees and Mars at 29, which breaks down to the number 11, this is us having to master our energy levels this full moon. And it's more about our emotional, mental energy. And, the sun, moon and Mars are making this T-square aspect towards Pluto, who's at 28 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius. So, I feel like something's coming out, or realizations are happening that are going to be pretty mind-blowing. And, can also represent volcanic eruptions that are happening on the Earth right now. They seem to be a little bit more ongoing as well. But fire, water and earth, to me that's very lavic. It's very thick, very dense energy. So, I would say that we should really get into meditation music or sing, water sports, or, complete some tasks maybe that have been left around the house to do, whatever it is we need to get active. More about physical action, because what we're feeling is very deep right now. And I say that because Chiron is also in Pisces in retrograde, which makes, Chiron in retrograde makes our feelings a little bit deeper in Pisces. But Chiron spends a lot of time in retrograde anyway. So it's an energy we're already familiar with because Chiron has been in Pisces for a few years now. can't remember exactly, but definitely more than 4 years. And Chiron, who actually represents the wounded healer, but also the teacher, the spiritual teacher, is in opposition to Mercury, who's just come out of retrograde. But he will still be in post-shadow of his retrograde until the 2nd of November, when he reaches back to the point he started his retrograde mode at. So, we still have to be careful. But, this is all about our emotional health and our mental health with what's going on at the moment or what's coming up for us. And we'll look at that in a little while just to see, what I'm feeling is coming up for us. So, we have this double-sided kite as well with Mercury, Ceres conjunct the Black Moon Lilith, conjunct Saturn. Now that is the trine of the grand kite. And it's an earth trine. But, it's like we're staying stuck in a mindset. And it's like this shadow of scarcity. And it really does revolve around either the food industry, because the goddess Ceres represents food, also children. It's all about self-nurture and how we give and take in relationships. So, at the top of one side of the kite, we have the goddess Juno, who's at 14 degrees in Ophiuchus. Now, the goddess Juno is all about our commitments. It's all about our committed relationships. It's also about the abused child or the abused wife. So there's highs and lows when it comes to our comfort zone, when it comes to our homes, our families, and how we're going to care for them. And in Taurus, it's all about practicalities. It's all about, I know Taurus people say it's all about luxuries and having things around you that make you feel comfortable. But in conjunction to the goddess Ceres, the Black Moon Lilith in conjunction to the goddess Ceres, which is creating this shadow around the fear of scarcity, around the food industry, around, I can't say our luxuries, our practical needs, is pretty intense because, it's like highs and lows. 1 minute we're being, because this is in the public house in the UK, so 1 minute we're being told one thing, but it turns out to be quite another. It's not really putting us at ease. And there's a psychology to this as well, because, sometimes people can be over-giving or over-nice, Sometimes it can come across as a little bit patronising. And I think, with everything people have been through, and I'm talking globally here, everything people have been through over the last couple of years, it's like it's created this wisdom now. A lot of people are kind of questioning the whole situation, and it's not to say that they're questioning every single thing, because there's definitely things that have been going on, but there's definitely things that have been taken advantage of. And, people are wisening up. So, here in the UK, Ophiuchus is actually sitting on the cusp of the 11th house, which in the true lifetime sky is the house of public status. It is the house of career. But we've also got Scorpio as well, slightly on the cusp, with the South Node at 0 degrees. And, the South Node in Scorpio is all about distrust. not trusting the process. And in the public house, it's like not trusting what we're being told about our practical needs. And Venus also represents attractions, relationships, the economy, our financial status in life. So there's definitely this shadow being created around the care industry, the nursing industry, the food industry, and the economy. And they're all creating this T-square, I'll get back to the kite in a minute, towards the goddess Pallas, who's at 12 degrees retrograde in Aquarius. So, the goddess Pallas in Aquarius is seeing the patterns in humanity, seeing the picture and, wanting justice for humanity. So in this instance, I really do feel that more bullshit is on the way, basically. And someone put up a post about that earlier. And I just laughed because I thought that is exactly what it is. It's almost like we're seeing it for what it is. There's a lot going on behind the scenes with the South Node in Scorpio. And I just feel when the South Node moves into Libra early next year, I'm not sure when because I haven't looked yet, I feel that's when we'll start weighing up the pros and cons of what is what. So back to this kite. So, we have Venus the goddess Juno on top of the kite. But, Juno is in the sign of Ophiuchus as well as Venus. And as I said earlier, Venus is in opposition to the black moon, which is all about financial strains, difficulties in relationships. Maybe there's people feeling like they need to micromanage things, maybe, limiting their use of electric, gas, food supplies. There's definitely a limitation or a micromanaging. I mean, when I first looked at this chart, I actually thought to myself, wow, is there some form of rationing coming in? That is something we haven't seen since like the 1930s, 1940s. And I think, it may not be that. It may be the shadow that the black moon Lilith is creating that's making us see things that way. But to be honest, with what's being played out in black and white, I think we can see where this could head if we're not careful. And, with the South Node in Scorpio in opposition to the black moon in Taurus, conjunct Ceres, we have to be careful that we're not being too selfish and just focusing on our own immediate environment, our own immediate families. Yeah, communities will have to come together. Because I think people are really struggling to get their heads around things still. I feel we did have another awakening point at the new moon. But I just feel that with this full moon, it's coming to the conclusion, because full moons are about conclusions, wrapping things up to start the new cycle. And when I do my new moon reports and my full moon reports, I'm not just talking about the moon. I'm talking about the whole of the chart of the solar system, the chart wheel. And, these events do create a trigger for the next cycle. So this full moon is creating a trigger for the next 2 weeks. And when I'm looking at all the planet placements, when I'm looking at all the aspects, I'm seeing, a lot of mental confusion. But also, it's because it's just too much, it's too mind-blowing to get our heads around or to get our emotions around. Because for those of us that are very clear about bigger picture, we may not be right about all the details, we may not be clear about all the details, but we know what we're feeling. We know what we've always felt. It can be a very frustrating time. And, there's this big shift going on that I'm seeing as well with Uranus at 14 degrees in Aries. Uranus in Aries is very, very wow. I think Uranus entered into Aries in 2019. I think it was 2019, April 2019, around about that date. And, things have really stepped up. But it's very, very erratic energy, very, very revolutionary energy. So Uranus, and you're noticing I'm saying Uranus now for all you guys in the US who keep laughing at me when I say Uranus. So yeah, Uranus at 14 degrees, that breaks down to 5. Uranus is still in retrograde and, he's always in retrograde through the winter months. He doesn't come out of retrograde until January. That's quite common with Uranus. But he's in opposition to the goddess Vesta, who's at 7 degrees in Libra. So there's this shift going on within our inner temple. This is like Uranus pushing us into our masculine energy. I've said in the last 2 podcasts, I love the feminine energy. It's very spiritual. It's very kind of healing energy. But right now, we need to get into our masculine energy. Because the masculine energy is all about action. And with the Sun conjunct Mars, we can use that intense energy to actually push forward, but in a spiritual sense, standing up for ourselves, but with spiritual strength. Not strength based on ego, not strength based on aggression, but strength based on our spirituality. And the goddess Vesta being at 7 degrees, 7 is the number, is the spiritual number. So that emphasizes that, and Libra is all about justice and balance and unity. And, with Pallas, who's very connected to the air signs. Pallas in Aquarius is very truthful, very honest. So, there is this wonderful opportunity for us to really open up, rise above the challenges and get in our self-power, basically, in our masculine energy. So this is more like, to me, this is like the spiritual warrior is waking up, or more spiritual warriors are waking up. Now back to the kite again. On the other side of the kite, because it is a double-sided kite. I did mention this earlier actually with Chiron, didn't I? So I'm just repeating myself. But Chiron is also in trine to Venus, who's in Ophiuchus. So, Pisces need to feel safe. They need to feel secure in their environment. And So this is where Ophiuchus can be a little bit too controlling. And I feel this is more on the home front. But also, Venus in Ophiuchus, it's like two sides of the coin. You know, some may need to heal their fears around this shadow energy of scarcity, you know, or their worries. Or it may be they're going through financial strain. And I'm talking about in a global aspect. But in trying to Chiron, I feel that it's like a reaction from old wounds, or it's a powering up for the healers out there. And I'm talking all forms of healers, like even nurses, doctors, but those that are aligned with more the organic, the natural. So yeah, you know, I mean, Ophiuchus, whereas like Pisces kind of has ruling over hospitals, nursing, you know, caring, although Cancer's more about the care industry, I would say Pisces is more about the nursing industry. So in trying to Venus in Ophiuchus, there could be more cutbacks coming forward, or people are getting downloads of alternative remedies, or are learning about old ways. Maybe there's old knowledge being put out there now, you know. Well, actually there is, I know there is, but probably won't be allowed to say it on here. But yeah, I really do feel people need to look into other avenues of healing, other avenues of like medicine. And but I feel this is coming out publicly anyway. I feel there's something there, something's coming out, and it's to do with finances as well. I mean, here in the UK, it could be a further coming down of the NHS help, you know, of what we're kind of entitled to. And I could sit here and moan about that and say, you know, we're all still paying the same NI. So, you know, we shouldn't be paying the same NI if we're not really getting the service. I don't know, there's just something there I'm feeling about the medical industry. And something coming to light. Because I feel with the goddess Pallas in Aquarius, it's something coming to light. Or it could be the pressure is finally erupting within our domestic environment, you know, either through financial strains or differences of opinion. You know, whatever it is, we have to accept people's choices, you know. We have to find a way around things and work together. Because Venus is always also in quincunx to Uranus in Aries. So, you know, if there is like too much of a controlling vibe put out there, either politically or just socially, it's gonna create emotional, you know, just, well, anger, really. Just bursts of anger, bursts of emotional anger, because, like, there's also this inhibitance of being able to express ourselves properly in the correct way. That's why we need to drain off some of that energy so it doesn't stagnate and turn into frustration. And, you know, from frustration it can escalate. And, you know, the positive thing is is that we are all going through this transformation. You know, the Ophiuchus being quite strong, the Ophiucan energy being quite strong, with Venus there, which, you know, in opposition to the Black Moon. I mean, there could be a lot of relationship issues, a lot of families are coming apart or are under a lot of pressure. You know, there also could be some kind of persecution that's coming up, either politically or socially. I just think we need to watch this space, this full moon. And stay in our spiritual strength, in our masculine energy, but in our spiritual strength. And, you know, we've got Jupiter in Capricorn at 22 degrees in trine to Mars and the Sun in Virgo. So again, this is all about overcoming restriction, overcoming being too much in our heads, overcoming being too much in our emotions. It's about expansion of self in Capricorn. Jupiter at 22 degrees in Capricorn is an emphasis on an expansion of self. So I would definitely recommend, you know, using your voice, maybe singing, chanting, you know, getting into some form of physical activity to burn off that energy. I would say watch out for heart palpitations, or being sort of like over prideful or egoistical. I mean, if we're going through relationship issues at the moment with partners, then, you know, there needs to be honest conclusions. There needs to be groundedness brought into the situation if that's possible. If it's not, you know, give each other space until you calm down and then come back together and have that conversation. Because right now I feel people are lashing out because of the strains, because of the fears, you know. But, you know, I do feel something else is going to be revealed as well, either economically or medically. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. My new website has got a little bit more information on. I've learned how to use it now, and I'm starting to upload stuff there. So all that information is in my description box below. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the sign of Ophiuchus, I haven't written much at the moment. I've written a little bit, like a rundown, that you may be interested in reading. So please go ahead and check out my website. And with that, I shall leave you with peace and much love. Take care.